we're going to take you through a nice yoga workout. This first one here is a salutation to the sun. Nice stretch, bending the back, coming forward into the toe touch. Remember to relax the neck, just let the body hang. Now step back, keep the knee and the foot basically even with each other. Don't let the knee get in front of the foot too far. Here you arch up, come up on your toes as high as you can. Drop the heels down to the ground and stretch the Achilles tendon. Now bring the feet in close to the hands and rock a little bit. This loosens up the knees, loosens up the ankles. Now push-up position, caterpillar, and up into the cobra, which is a nice back stretch. Do that to what's comfortable, to your capacity. Back up into the V. It's actually called downward facing dog. Bring the other leg forward, get the same nice stretch behind. It's a nice runner's stretch, stretches through the groin and through the legs and quad. Back into your toe touch. Come up with a nice stretch again, reaching up as tall as you can. And on your second back bend, go deeper. Give yourself a good stretch back. Back up. Bring the hands down in front into a prayerful posture. That's the salutation to the sun. I'm just going to do a little side bending here to stretch the muscles on the side. I like to try to bring the same fluidity that you have with your Tai Chi into the yoga movements. Posture. This is both a quad stretch and a balanced position. Now we're going to go down into Cobra. This is basically a lower back exercise. This first part of the lift here, you're not using the arms, you're only using the lower back muscles. You slowly work your way up, inhaling when you lift, exhale, holding the position, checking your posture. Still using just the back muscles on the lift. Wonderful exercise. Now pushing up with the arms. So the first part of the Cobra mostly is for strength. The second part where we push up is for improved flexibility. Next posture, you take a little rest in between postures. Whenever you feel like it, you take a little break. It's not an aerobic exercise. Now we're going to do the half locust. Again, with inhales, slowly lifting. With exhales, check in my posture. You notice the knee is bent a little bit, but you want to keep the leg as straight as you can. Wonderful hamstring, gluteus, and lower back exercise. I usually start with my right leg first on each exercise if it's done on both sides. Simply it helps you kind of remember. Occasionally you'll forget if you've done both sides, but if you have that pattern, then you always know if you've gotten both sides taken care of. Now the next movement we're coming into is called the bow. The Cobra, the half locust we just did, and this bow are usually done in that sequence together. There's also a full locust exercise where you raise both legs up simultaneously. With quite a strong lower back, do the full locust. Flow is a wonderful stretch. You can see where it gets its name. Oftentimes the name of the movement resembles very closely the actual exercise. Many of them are taken from animals. Again, resting is an important part of yoga. You shouldn't let your heart rate or breathing get too fast. Go into a posture, hold it for a moment, now relax for a moment. I'm doing a little traction on the back here, getting a nice back stretch, making my back longer. As you know from my class, I'm a big fan of traction. There's so much compression that goes on every day as we walk. That arching of the back is called the cat, which you see your cats do. Dropping the stomach down towards the ground is called the cow. I'm just doing a little series of movements of the back. What you do in this position is you kind of play with the back, the shoulders, the neck, the hips. You move everything around. You try to articulate every joint in every possible direction. This is a wonderful position to work the back out in because you're not carrying much weight, so you can move the back around and not have to worry about injury. Side exercise, moves the obliques. It's kind of a nice stretch for the legs. There's a nice stretch for the side. And this is a little series. Bringing the knee to the head, stretching the leg out behind. The higher you raise your leg behind, the more you work the glutes. Also, the more stress you put on the back. You have to decide if you want a good back or a perky butt, I guess. And here you reach across with the opposite hand, do a real nice stretch. Reportedly a good exercise for women during their periods, can help relieve some of the pressure in the lower back area. I usually inhale as I move into a position, exhale as I hold the position. So inhale on the move, exhale on the hold. This works a lot of muscles, also has an element of balance in it, coordination. This particularly is balanced position. Also gives some really nice flexibility. Feel that in quite a few places. Wonderful little stretch. Now ideally you would hold most postures for about a minute. The run through we're doing today, we're not holding them that long, but more of an average time of around 30 seconds or so. Get ready, I believe, to do the headstand here. And that's one of the postures you usually want to hold for 2 to 5 minutes. You need to build up to it slowly. If you start to feel a lot of pressure in the head and it gets uncomfortable, then just come down from it. These invert postures such as the headstand, the shoulder stand, scorpion, handstand, any of the invert postures are considered to benefit the whole body. They reverse a lot of the negative effects of gravity. if you've been very active during the day, particularly on your feet, skiing or playing tennis, or just working and standing a lot, you get a tremendous amount of blood down into the legs. If you come home and just sit down afterwards in a chair, the heart has to work quite hard to pull the blood back up against gravity from the legs. A simple invert for a couple of minutes can save your heart a lot of extra work. This also obviously builds some strength in the neck, improves your balance. Sometimes even as you get a little older and you're not as fit, some of the organs actually can be moved out of place through gravity and walking and jumping over a lifetime. They can actually move down a little bit. The invert postures, some people claim they can even feel some movement inside the body, and that sometimes the organs are moving back into their proper position. You're just doing a little different rotation and stretch. It improves the balance, gives you a little more flexibility in certain areas of the body, and seeing you're doing the headstand for a couple of minutes kind of gives you something to do while you're standing on your head. Keep the breathing slow and deep through the nose throughout the full workout. And pay attention to the neck and the head. Feel too much blood pressure where it's uncomfortable in the head, come down out of the pose. Very important when you come down, stay down for a while. You definitely don't want to jump up and run off and answer the telephone after a couple of minutes in a headstand. It's very possible you could pass out. So here I'm in a neutral position with my head and heart on essentially the same plane. I came up here maybe even a little quicker than you might want to, but I'm not running off anywhere. Now after the inverts, whether you use the shoulder stand or headstand, you should fall. Now here again, I'm just going to relax for a minute in a neutral position. Then after a nice relaxation period, I will do the fish. The fish is a move that again follows an invert. It helps to get the blood circulating properly through the body again. This gives a little exercise to the neck. I'm arched now so that nothing's touching from my hips to my head. My chest is arched up as high as possible. And I'm looking back as far as possible, trying to actually have the weight on the very top chakra. Here I'm tapping on the thymus gland, which helps to balance it, regulate its functioning. You come out of the fish, you come into the little quarter sit-up, and lay back down again. Again, you don't rest because you're pooped, you rest because it really helps the exercise system. You move blood into a certain area of the body with the exercise, the asana, and you relax for a minute and let the blood circulate naturally again. Now this stretch is another one that you may need to spend some extra time in if you're ever really going to get very good at it. You open the legs as far as possible, and you start to walk your fingers out in front of you as far as possible. Rather than trying to bring the head straight down to the ground again, you reach way out in front, make the back long. Whenever you do in yoga postures, whenever possible, try to make your back longer. Don't crunch the back in the positions. Extend it, stretch it. Now, as I mentioned a minute, it's a good hold time for a lot of the postures, a couple of minutes, probably a day, working on this posture to be able to get the head down on the ground like that. I've only hurt myself doing yoga 3 times in 30 years, twice doing this exercise. So be very gentle and conservative with it. Here again, the back is straight. I'm not trying to round the back. I'm trying to bring my foot up to my head, Now bring my head down to meet the foot. This again stretches the hip joint. I'm just giving my toes a little pull and releasing the energy in the toes, giving them a little bending and a little tiny massage. Chinese medicine believes the nicest thing you can do for yourself is give yourself a nice foot massage every day, or trade one with a friend. If you were doing the single leg stretch, this is a good warm-up for sitting postures, such as the full lotus. The ankle is put up on the quad. If you have bad ankles, you can sit the ankle off to the side of the leg rather than putting it up on the thigh, as I've done. Now, this is a side stretch before the head was turned down, more of a back stretch. Here the head is turned up and you're stretching the sides of the body. So don't confuse it with this former stretch. They work different areas in the torso. Back straight, foot high, and carefully bring it in towards the forehead. If you're one of the people with real loose backs, you can actually duck under and put the foot behind the head. It's one of the yoga movements my body's never allowed me to do. Everyone will find a yoga posture or two that's just not right for them. And I learned very early on that trying to get my foot behind my head was not something that was right for my back. Again, don't force your stretches, relax into it. One of the worst things you can do, obviously, with any exercise system is hurt yourself. And just as bad is to get discouraged. If you get uncomfortable by pushing a little too hard in the stretches, you're liable to discourage yourself. You're liable to think of stretching as something that hurts and is very unpleasant and not want to do it. Just before it hurts, it kind of feels nice. Beginning of a stretch is a very good feeling. If you push it too far again, it becomes painful. If you keep your dialogue off, like when you're doing your Tai-Chi, keep your attention on the body, your chance of injury is greatly reduced. Every time I've managed to hurt myself, I was showing off to somebody. And again, when you're showing off, you're not paying attention to your body. You're paying attention to the people you're trying to impress. And you're demonstrating reach out as far as I can and down. And I've added this stretch again because usually after I do the other stretches, I like to come back to it. It's an asana that requires a little extra effort to get good at. It's a stretch that's popular in the martial arts, in yoga, and dance. Here the soles are brought together. You hold onto the feet and bounce the legs gently. This is called the butterfly. And when you bring the head down towards the feet, it becomes a six-pointed star. The hands and feet are 1 point, the head's the other, the elbows are 2, and the knees are 2. So you have your six-pointed star. Little front toe touch. Relax for a moment. The relaxation posture here I'm using is called the corpse. Now coming up into the shoulder stand. Sometimes we'll do shoulder stand and head stand. Usually I just pick one or the other. Maybe we just came into the shoulder stand to prepare to go into this move where you drop the legs straight down behind. Called the plow. You can also, as well as having the knees straight or locked in this position and the toes touching the ground if they'll go that low, you can also bend the knees and bring it down on top of the forehead, or if you're even more flexible, you can bend the knees and bring them down right next to the ears. First here I'm bringing my knees onto my forehead. Down by the ears. These are variations on the top posture. Be very careful with the plow and also with the shoulder stand that you keep the weight on the shoulders. It's very easy to let the weight rotate back and get on the head. If you have a lot of weight on the head in these postures, you're actually risking some damage to the neck. The last thing in the world you want is an injury anywhere along the spinal column. So with the shoulder stand or the plow, keep the weight on the shoulders. Don't let the weight get on the head, and you shouldn't have any difficulty with it. Now the plow is always followed by the front toe touch. The complementary poses. The theories of yoga generally is if you bend one way, you usually want to turn around and bend the other way. One of the reasons the back bend is so important. We bend forward many times each day, and if we don't remember, we don't often really do a back bend. Even when you're not doing your yoga workout, you should do the back bend. We haven't done it as a solitary exercise, but we did it in the flow sequence at the beginning, the salutation to the sun. There were 2 back bends. Now, relaxation after a stretch pose like that is not as important as after a more strenuous pose, or a pose where you've really moved the blood around, such as a headstand or shoulder stand. It's optional. This is the via. This is one of the more intense abdominal exercises. Works the back also. If you have a bad back, you might want to leave this one out or be very careful with it. We're moving into a variety of different positions, which put a variety of different tensions on the abdominal muscles. This is not just a strength move, but it's also quite a bit of balance and coordination involved in it, especially when you go up and touch the toes here. A certain amount of flexibility, but mostly a strength movement. And you just kind of hold it until your muscles start to quiver. Then you know they've gotten a good workout. If you can do this for a minute, you've got some pretty good muscles. It's a strenuous pose. I'm taking a little relaxation time here. Again, any reason is a good reason to relax in yoga. It really complements the exercises. I'm coming into a nice little back stretch that I just love. The first one here is called the bridge. And I often use the bridge as sort of a warm-up for a more advanced back stretch, which is what I'm doing here. I'm going to go into the wheel. The wheel is my personal favorite. It just feels wonderful. It's not for everyone. Again, you pick and choose what seems to work for you. This is a very powerful stretch to the back. Now, I'm up on the balls of my feet. Some people like to be down on the heels. Both are fine. And one of the more powerful movements in the yoga. Incredible stretch from fingertips all the way to the tip of the toes. Don't miss much on that exercise. And be sensitive to your own body and capacity. There's many, many yoga postures and lots of different approaches to doing yoga workouts. It's important how you put them together. The way I put this together has been a long process of many years. I think it's a wonderful workout. Most of you will find some needs to make certain modifications to it. Whenever you finish your workout, always make sure your back feels nice. You should be able to lay comfortably in the corpse and not feel any discomfort in the back. This is one of the really nice stretches here. Just bring the knee directly up to the chest, point it up and forward. This opens up the lower back. This is an exercise for everybody. It's even recommended as rehabilitation for back injuries. So not only will you not hurt your back doing this, but you might help it. done again first on one side and then on the other. And it's done with both knees. And you just pull them up and forward. You can feel how much wider, more open the lower back becomes. As you begin to pull the knees forward, it really stretches out that main problem area in the lower back. This also is a wonderful little stretch. Gets behind the knee, gets lower back. You try to lock the knee. First you try to get the legs straight at a 90. If that's too easy for you, slowly bring the knee towards the forehead. Somewhere I can guarantee before your knee touches your forehead, you'll get a good stretch to the back of the leg, to the hamstring, buttocks, back of the knee. I'm coming into heroic pose. Gentlemen, be very, very careful on this one. As you pull the second knee over, you can catch a testicle if you're not doing it slowly. Reaching behind the back, we come into the cow. Wonderful stretch for the shoulders. That's a heroic posture, is a wonderful stretch for the hips and the legs. Should be able to interlock the hands behind the back. Now here I'm going into the half spinal twist. Keep the back straight. Look as far as you can to the right on this rotation here. This gives a complete twist to the spine from the sacroiliac all the way through the neck. Twisting the spine is one of the more dangerous things you can do with the spine. So be very gentle. You rotate as far as you can. You just hold it for a while. You rotate the second direction here. It's a little more difficult, getting the arm in this position. It's quite challenging for some people. If you can't do a posture exactly correct, you just do it the best you can. Keep steady and keep working at it daily, which is important. You'll slowly be able to get into most yoga postures that you desire to get into. You just put the time in. Again, heroic, and again, man. And you bring that top leg over, do it slow. I'll do the cow face with the opposite side. Again, you try to get your fingers to touch, and you sort of pull them together, making a fist out of the two hands coming together in the back. Stretch the shoulders out after doing the cow face. Now coming into a twist again, half spinal twist. Do the easy way first, which is where you don't have the elbow barred. Sitting up straight, looking as far as you can. You can force the stretch just a little bit with the arms, just very, very little. And do not over-rotate on this movement, it could damage the back. Nice little chiropractic adjustment to the spine. It's one of the reasons the sequence is important. It leaves the back in the proper state. If you do postures in the wrong sequence or overdo the postures, when you lay down at the end, you'll feel a little discomfort in the back. If you do feel the discomfort again, be more gentle with yourself next time. Be more careful with your form. Now this little roll is, now we're coming into little finishing exercises. This puts a little pressure on each vertebra, kind of make sure everything's in place. Massage the back, a little adjustment to the back. Keep the chin tucked. As you roll back, don't fall away from your knees. Keep your knees the same distance from the chest. If you don't, you'll just end up on a flat back. Now here, this kind of like is a massage, rocking side to side. This works the big muscles along the spine. Kind of a little boat in the sea feeling here where you just rock back and forth, finally stabilize and come to center. Now here's the full lotus posture, which is a meditation posture. look in the class at some less difficult postures, but this is the classic. Again, for a meditation posture, you want to sit up perfectly straight. That's the most important thing. What you do with your legs really isn't that important. You can even use a chair or a bench if you have problems with the legs. If you can sit in the full lotus, it's a great posture for most people. It's difficult to get into, and often too uncomfortable once they get into it to use it as a meditation. Remember to be consistent. You're going to get your best results if you practice daily. Every day that you stretch, you improve flexibility and health. Every day you don't stretch, you lose a little bit. Always end with corpse. Always relax.